Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to UTA Planetarium's another live star stream. My name is Levan UTA Astronomer, and I'm here with you today again with different topics. And we would like to talk about this time some of the space news coming up because just released were black holes pictures. They were all over the place in the social media, and we received a lot of comments and questions asking what those new black hole pictures meant. Here are some of the things Jim prepared for us, right, Jim? He's here with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. We have several things to talk about. So much going on in space news today, for sure. So much. So we're gonna get to it. But first, before we jump into the main event, what we want to talk about first, I saw on Twitter. I'm always browsing Twitter, trying to see what's happening, what's going on, and I don't know if everybody has been following all the Mars events, but I saw that the helicopter is out. So we gotta talk about it. I know that last week we talked about it popping its shell, but it has feet now, so we can finally see the feet, and we get a name for the helicopter. It seems like Twitter and social media has given it a name, which I'll tell you about in a moment. So, let's go ahead and get into it. Let me bring you the images.
Okay, all right. So which images, the Mars images or black hole images?
Let's start with Mars images, if that's all right.
Okay,
First.
yes. For it's almost 1 month now for Mars Perseverance rover is rolling on the surface of red planet, and it is taking pictures, taking video, and as we mentioned before, there is a rover on board of this rover. So that drone, previously called Ingenuity, according to Jim, now it has a name. I think there was a social
Yes.
media campaign.
Are you ready for the name?
Yes, what's the name of this?
Twitter has deemed its name not Ingenuity, because that's too much of a mouthful, but Jenny. So it's actually the first rover object that has a name that I feel like is a little more feminine. Most of the rover objects have either got pretty unisex names or maybe more male names. For instance, Perseverance is nicknamed Percy. So this one we now have Percy and Ginny on Mars.
So because Ingenuity was mouthful, did they get rid of the leading in and leading uity and called it Jenny?
Yeah. It seems like it. So here, let's show you guys what happened.
We shorten everything nowadays, right?
Definitely. Okay, so this is just a quick little video. This is from NASA JPL's Twitter, and you guys can see in the clip right beneath me, you can see Ginny.
I like the comment
out.
from Brexton, the roller gave birth.
Yeah. It really looks like that, Brexton. Good to see you, Brexton. We lost you last week, I think. We didn't see you here. I didn't. But you can see in the video, Ingenuity's kind of dropped down and drops its feet out, which I think is kind of neat looking. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Anyway, we have some other views of it, which I think are kind of neat. So let's go ahead and transition you guys to that view. Here's all four legs down, which pretty fantastic, right? How do you feel about the name Jenny, Levan?
I think Ingenuity was fine.
Yeah, Ingenuity works. I like Jenny. I think it's nice. It feels more personable, just like I feel like Percy is a little more personable than Perseverance, which it's a lot of vowels.
Did they shorten that too, really? Did
Well,
they call it Percy?
Yeah,
No?
unofficially, just like it's unofficially the official name, like nickname is Jenny. It's also officially Percy. It's not really any official. Officially, it's Mars 2020 and Mars helicopter.
Well, I know even at NASA headquarters, coffee machines called CMs. So they like shorten everything.
Speaking of NASA headquarters, we get to announce something really cool, right, Levan?
Yes.
Yes. She's not with us today, so we don't get to berate her in front of everyone. But Jennifer, our student assistant, who's a graduate student here at UTA, she, I guess, officially pulled up a position with, I think it's MEI Technologies. I might have that wrong, but anyway, she's going to be working at JSC in Houston, and she gets to work at Mission Control Building. So, yeah, congratulations, Jennifer.
Yeah, we are proud of our students who gets jobs in real science and technology advancement companies and institutions. Our former students are also working at NASA, JPL.
Second one, right?
Yes.
Jacob?
Yeah, Jacob got also.
And JSC too, I think.
Yes. And also they are doing a lot of, the contract for the governments and NASA in particular. Yeah, we're proud of our students. So this is what students do, right? They come, they get education, and they also get some life practice at planetariums and science centers, and then they go and find, and after interacting with a lot of people here, they find really, really good jobs. So,
do you ever feel kind of used? I feel a little bit. I gotta be honest. Jennifer has been so helpful that I'm certainly sad she's gone, and there might be a little bit of spite, but I'm really happy for her.
No, actually, this is Planetarium is always a transition place for student associates because it's a part-time job. It is certainly a great experience, great job experience, because the number of people they interact to and the professionalism they have to carry over at all aspects of the job is important. But time to time, students tell me they would like to stick around forever, and I say no. You guys need to go out and find a real jobs.
Jennifer, she definitely mentioned it's too easy to love this job. So when you start doing a job like this, it's easy to be like, I don't know what I was majoring or studying when I got here, but I want to do this thing. And you're right. We've had to push a couple of them out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you need to go get a real job. You have a great degree. You're really intelligent, hardworking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dinah says, I have a Master of Science in Planetary Sciences, and I'm retired from L3 where I developed flight simulators. Yeah, the L3 is also made the modifications for the Sophia aircraft of NASA, which when I visited their facility several years ago, I talked to the engineers who made modifications to the 747 aircraft, and it was an amazing experience. So.
Well, glad to have you, Dinah. I think I'm saying it right. Maybe it's Dina. Please yell at us in the comments if we said that incorrectly.
All right, what's next, Jim?
Okay, the next topic is something you brought to my attention. I didn't know about this. So let's take it over, Levan. What are we looking at here?
Now we are looking at a blocked canal.
Really, what does this have to do anything with space? I don't get it. How is this part of our subject?
Well, the interesting story is, after that, the big ship, it is either the biggest or one of the biggest ships on Earth, right?
Yeah, I think it was.
It's stuck at the canal, and that was the very important tradeway for Earth. And especially for the shipments from China that we get all around the world every day. So that ship got stuck. I don't know how, but it got stuck in a mud like this, and the rescue operations were underway. Unfortunately, because of the weight and the length of this ship, it is not easy to just tow this ship back. So I've seen a lot of construction machines digging the land around the ship, the nose of the ship, to unstuck the ship. What interesting is, what helped the most is the celestial mechanics, as the Weather Channel titled this, or the full moon of a few days ago.
What?
Yes, the full moon of a few days ago. So if you're wondering, like, what has full moon to do with this? Well, the full moon has two major events, and one of them is it's responsible for the tides. So the tides, because the moon has the power, the gravity power, and it certainly it has gravitational influence on Earth. If you think about what is the easiest to move on Earth is water. And when the full moon, during the full moon, you know, the moon pulls water on the sides and causes the water level to rise. And with also moon that orbits in the elliptical orbit, with elliptical means there is one like the close point and one far point. The moon is at the closest point to the Earth, which is called perigee. So as the moon being full and being the closest position, the gravitational influence was maximum, and that caused about the water level be rising about 18 inches than usual. So that helped the ship float, and the rescue operation was much easier. So thanks to the moon.
Saved the Suez Canal.
Exactly. So, and the moon has also secondary thing which may not be so important for the rescue operation, but it provides a lot of night lights. So this is important for farmers. But you know, this certainly probably would be helpful for the rescue operations as well, which was also happening late at night too.
It looks like we have Lamia says it's over right now. Full moon helps really. I mean, I can believe it. The amount of effect that the moon has on large body of water is pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, you can probably, if you just around the lake, you can also see that level change during the phases of the moon at the lakes too. Especially if you have a boat ramp, and you can just kind of find out the water levels change.
So that watching the huge effect that the moon has on water led people to what was his name? Hippocrates.
Mm-hmm.
The Hippocratic Oath. Yeah. So doctors, long Hippocrates, the father of, I think that they call him this. I'm not sure why they do, but the father of modern medicine, or doctor or something. I don't know the right terminology for it, but he'd noticed this, like, hey, the moon has huge effects on water, and in studying the body, he noticed that the brain was mostly full of water. And he was like, oh, so it must make people crazy, which is where today we get words like lunacy, lunatic, and moon crazy.
Yeah, because of I'm an astronomer, people ask me all the time the effect of the or predicted effect of the full moon on humans' psychology, and I say, well, there is none other than the evenings are being bright. Well, it certainly affects the sleep cycles, but it is not able to affect the water level on our bodies, because the amount of water in our body is so small, and the gravitational force is directly proportional with the amount of the mass. In particular.
That's
so
what he didn't understand.
Yeah, the whole amount of water in the entire surface of the planet is huge. That's why the moon is able to affect that amount of water. But the water or anything else in particular of our body, and our body as a whole either, is not able to get affected by the moon's gravity. So for that reason, the full moon doesn't have effect on the body, but I've seen some sleep studies though that suggesting the full moon certainly has effect on the sleep cycles, because it brightens the nights. So some people sleeps better in dark environment, and when it is disrupted by the full moon's light, that's what's causing the sleep cycles being disturbed.
Oh, definitely powerful moon. And Brexton says the other rovers could be moved by another rover if they got stuck, similar to the barge. And we have so many now, maybe, but they're really, really far away from one another. So, and I think we've talked about it before, but the speed of the rovers is hilariously slow. They need to be really slow to make sure they don't make any mistakes and nothing goes wrong. Battery, life, lots of reasons. A whole bunch of reasons.
Well, it may be easier to make a new spacecraft and send it to Mars instead of just rerouting the existing rovers for rescue operation. But there's going to be one going to near Perseverance, hopefully in 7 years.
Yeah.
Because NASA currently it is completely in the planning stages, and it may be just an idea, but Perseverance will collect some of the interesting rock samples and store it inside the rover, and hopefully later another spacecraft will go land, collect all the rock pieces from the storage and bring down back Earth. So this is at least what the plan was.
Yeah, definitely neat. All right, I think it's time we move to our main story. Are we good? We ready?
Okay,
It's
yes.
too late. I
What,
brought us there.
what are we looking at here, Jim?
So
It
this
doesn't look
is-
like anything other than like a just empty hole.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just a donut. No, this is the first picture. This is not news, this photo. This is the first picture of a black hole taken by the Event Horizon Telescope, or a huge collection of astronomers with radio dishes all over the Earth, used in unison really well, so that we have a telescope that is essentially the size of the Earth to take this photo. So this was groundbreaking, earth-shaking, some other big words to describe it when it happened, but it's old news. We did, however, get an update to this in the news lately. So if you guys have been paying attention to stuff, you may have noticed, let me grab the picture for everybody, that we updated this photo sometime. There we go.
Well, Jim, I always say don't mess with black holes. It may crash your computer. So I think that the most interesting things in this updated picture are these lines or hairy structures. And those are usually, when I see in a photograph that like the hairy lines, I always think about magnetic field. So this is what's going on. Those are the indications of strong magnetic field. And these strong magnetic fields, according to the articles, scientists can estimate the amount or the magnitude of the magnetic power around this black hole, and it turns out it's a huge thing, a lot more than expected. And also the article says an interesting thing. This black hole, this particular black hole, eats about 2 Earths worth of matter every day.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
2 Earths worth of matter just disappearing, right? I mean, where does it go? It's a black hole.
Where does it go? That's the great question. Even that question challenges the today's scientists. So if we think about what is a black hole, the black holes are actually the ribs of in our universe. So if we need to imagine universe as a fabric, I think we have done this demo before, right? But Jim, if you can just explain like how we imagine universe as fabric. So universe, we may think that like one way of thinking of universe is just an empty space, but no, it's not actually empty space. Universe really have a medium, a carrier. So for example, you see these type of simulations at the science centers. So this represents a star at the center and another object, it may be a star or planet orbiting around it. When it does, gravitational force of the objects disturb the universe around it. It bends. This was actually first predicted by Einstein. Einstein said massive stars, and even like our star, the sun as well, which is not very massive, they bend the space around it. So, and we can prove that because if the space is bent around it, and we know this, the light travels in straight lines in the universe. If the light's path is bent, So that means the space around the object is also bent. So this is what Einstein said. And you know what people said, what others, even like a scientist said? Einstein must be out of his mind. He's crazy.
Turns out he was right.
But there was a big discussion in the physics world, like whether Einstein is right or whether Einstein is wrong. And it turns out a few scientists from the United Kingdom, I guess, if I remember correctly, they said, well, we can prove that.
The lensing, yeah.
And it turns out that they said, like, how are we going to prove that? One way of to test whether the sun is causing the light band is, hey, we can test the stars during solar eclipse. And during solar eclipse, they tested the position of stars. They were indeed displaced as the way Einstein suggested. So Einstein became a celebrity right after this discovery. So the black holes are also bending the space, but in a much more violent manner. So they bend space. They not only bend space, actually, they just rip and fold around it. So they create a window in the universe.
Crazy, just disappearing act, right?
Exactly. So what goes inside of that window is leaving the known universe.
Wild. All right, well, just so people know what's behind you right now on the screen, this is actually, this is the galaxy that we're taking a photo of, where that black hole photo is from. And part of the reason they wanted to study it is because, as you can see, there's this stream coming out of it, and this stream is a jet. We're looking at one side of it, so probably there is another jet on the other side. We just can't see it. And this jet made that galaxy's supermassive black hole really interesting to look at. And now that we've studied it more, we know that magnetic field stuff is pretty powerful, as we saw with our picture.
Yeah, the places to avoid is here. Because the thing is, there's like because this is not like part of our universe, we have no idea what's going on inside. The physics don't work. Our physics don't work inside of this. Another cool things about black holes, the time, their effect on time.
Oh yeah, the time
The
dilation.
time slows down as we go approach to a black hole, and finally, at the boundary of the black hole, the time stops.
Those problems in physics, the first time you get to work those out, the time dilation and length dilation, that felt so good to solve those problems for the first time. I can't tell you exactly why, but because what happens at the speed of light and around stuff like black holes, it just doesn't make sense, right?
Yes.
I mean, what's happening? Stuff shrinks.
So people usually ask, like, hey, time slows down around black holes, stops at the boundary. How about inside of a black hole? What happens to time? It breaks. Time is not defined inside black holes.
We got two questions from Brexton, maybe comments, I should say. When I pass, I would like my ashes to go to Mars. Maybe. We put some ashes on Mars, I think, already.
Don't know,
I'm pretty
but
sure.
it may
There's
be
ashes on the
possible
moon,
with
and I think Mars too.
somebody needs to fund a spacecraft, and yeah, it's possible.
Probably really expensive. And then also we got to, have you guys ever visited a launching of a rocket? Levan, have you?
No. Well, a lot of people goes to Cape Canaveral to look at the launches. I have not been, but I'm sure it's fascinating.
I have, and I can tell you that it is, holy moly. I mean, the roar of the engine. The craziest thing about it is witnessing the speed of sound in a way that you've never experienced it before, because you see the rocket launch, and then it's like, I don't know how long, but it's so long later, the sound, it doesn't just get to your ears, but the sound hits you. You feel all the energy from the rocket, and it's just spectacular. Really, really. We got a question from Richard.
If we went through the black hole at our galaxy's center, where we might be? That's a good question because in theory, and Einstein also has a lot of participation in that theory too, the black holes may lead into different universes, or they may be just connecting our part of our universe to different parts of our universe. So there is no way to test that idea. But this concept brings us to using, like a sci-fi movies, using black holes to transport ourselves to different universes or transport ourselves into different parts of our universe at a very fast speed. So hopefully someday we can find out, but the traveling in space is not very likely possible for us because we have a lot of limitations as humans. Our lifetime, I think the most important limitation for traveling in space, even for light, for example, when we say like a star nearby, I'm talking about a star maybe 100 or 200 light years away. Even for light, the fastest thing in the universe takes 100, 200 years to reach to the nearest star. So even though we invent a space rocket that travels at the speed of light, we don't have enough time to go and visit even nearby stars.
We got a question from Kurt. This one's tough. I actually don't know. I've heard of terraforming Mars, but I don't know exactly what he's talking about. Maybe you know more about it, Levan.
No, I have not heard that term. Maybe a geology term.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting. This idea of oxygen generators that could change the atmosphere of Mars.
Yeah, the oxygen generators. I think they are going to test a small lab on the surface of Mars to see if they can produce.
Oh yeah, that it brought with it.
Yeah,
Perseverance. That's what he's talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are going to test if they can produce using the existing atmosphere, using the produce a good oxygen for humans. So if that test is successful, so they may create maybe a like a pavilion on the surface of Mars.
A bubble, right?
A bubble, right? A bubble, like in the movies.
Yeah, biodome.
That we can go run planetarium shows, of course. The shape would be great, planetarium shape, and live in it. So that is going to be extremely important part of the mission.
All right, we have one more comment from Brexton, and this is a really good excuse. Would be a great field trip, hint, hint. And I think he's talking about the rocket launches. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right, Brexton. Levent should send me to a rocket launch. We could do a live coverage. We'll probably do that. I don't know where we're going to get the money from, but we'll probably do that.
Well, we need to wait until the travel restrictions lifted, and then why not? I'm all for it.
Sounds good to me. We've talked about it before.
Well,
it might be maybe. I mean, going to one of the Boca Chica SpaceX launches is actually it's really far. It's so easy to forget how large Texas is, right? It's humongous.
Why are black holes in the middle of galaxies? Well, we don't know how they get there, but one of the idea we are thinking is because the center of the galaxies are so compressed with all the matter that is on the outside of the galaxies. When the galaxies are forming, the center is kind of compressed into and forced into to form a black hole, and as the main black hole forms, then it gets and eats the surrounding material and gets bigger and bigger. And this is how we think the center galaxies, the central black holes get so big and they get there in the first place.
Pretty epic. Yep, Kurt. I am super envious. I never got to see a shuttle launch, but I always heard they were phenomenal. Those engines. We get to see a return of them right soon with the SLS, I think. So
Yes.
that's happening. Supposed to be end of the year. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
No rockets from Houston, Braxton. All right.
Yes, Houston is. I mean, the whole idea was we talked about this before. I think long time ago on a different live stream. The cost of the launching a spaceship is or space rocket is very high, and years ago NASA thought that if we commercialize this part, just that transportation part, the commercial companies can find a cheaper, efficient way of running this particular business. So by commercializing, it really gets down to a cheaper level. It is not advancing the science and technology a lot. Of course, they are developing some systems to make it more efficient, but it is not going to really advance the knowledge. But it will really make it more efficient and cheaper.
Definitely.
All right, so I think that's all for today, and we will hope to see you next week. I'm going to be here, Jim will be here.
Definitely.
And for now, we'll say bye. Hope to see you next week.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll get to those questions hopefully next week.